Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Headspace Podcast. And it's an exciting doozy as we are in university today. The course being taught is Thug Motivation 104. Let's break it down. There was 101 that came out way back in the day, 102, 103. We didn't listen to those. I'm not going to lie, I didn't. I'm new to Jeezy, getting into it for real. Still, it's courses, right? So this is the course of Thug Motivation, the fourth iteration of it for the people out there, and we are getting lessons today in the Legend of the Snowman, the new album by Jeezy that we gonna break down track by track, because that's what we do over here. I'm trying to be more exciting in my intros, give some love to. I swore they're gonna demonetize. So you're gonna hear a hopefully bleep, and hopefully that works. So we can't swear in the first 3 minutes no more. My name is Holden Stephan Roy.
My name is Chris Chrome.
And today we're talking about Jeezy's TM104 or Thug Motivation 104, the Legend of the Snowman. I gotta say, I'm excited to be here today talking about this project. This just feels momentous. I don't know. There's something about Jeezy that just gets me excited. Not in a weird way, but just musically, because he's got such a cool voice.
He does.
So we're going to get into it. We're going to do our little intro bit. You might find that we jibber jabber. I mean, that's the point of a podcast, is to jibber jabber. And that's okay. So you should check the description of the video if you want to skip that intro bit. And you can just check out whatever tracks you want. And we can have a little conversation in the comments, because we care so very much about the comments being the non-professionals. I mean, look at this garbage. I can say that because I know I'm going to replace it in the next couple of months, hopefully. Bonus time is in December, and watch how come January you're like, wow, it looks way better in the room. We're only in August, damn. So we care a lot about your comments, because we are not professionals and we're pretty new to the culture, and we basically spent the last couple of years learning mostly through y'all. Y'all have dropped so much useful information in the comment section that it is just blowing, at least my perception of what I thought I understood about hip-hop and rap music and all of this.
Yep.
So with that, we like to read our favorite comment of last week's video every single time. And last week, we talked about ASAP Ferg and his latest project.
Floor Seats.
That's the one. And on it, we got a fantastic comment. And if you're watching this, RJ Benjamin, I'm saying this sincerely. It's a good comment. They call the hook a chorus. Laugh my. So I said to myself, he's probably got a point. There has to be a difference. There's a hook and there's a chorus. Maybe they're not exactly the same thing. So I Googled it, and they're not at all the same thing, really. A chorus is a repetitious like central part of the song, but really it's kind of like a part of the song, kind of like a verse or whatever, but it repeats multiple times throughout and can often serve as the hook of a song. So in many cases, in a lot of cases, either the entire chorus or part of the chorus serves as the hook, and a hook is any significantly catchy part of a track designed to hook you. A good example, because I can't think of anything else, is in LL Cool J's Phenomenon, when they're like, something like a phenomenon, something like that's a hook that just gets stuck. It gets, right. But it's not. I don't know if that's the chorus, but it could be that the chorus is something else and it actually explodes after. So the hook could be like a pre-chorus, or it could be even just an iconic line within a verse or something designed. But anyway, so the hook can be any part of the song, and the chorus doesn't necessarily have to be the hook. But in almost like 80 to 90% of the shit we talk about, for real, the hook and the chorus are almost used interchangeably. So for the rest of my reviewing career, I will probably not use the right terms, and I'll just use whatever I see on Genius, because I'm not thinking that deep, and I do read lyrics off of Genius on this. So, like, that's what's up. But I wanted to acknowledge that there was a difference between the two, and the fact that I learned all that got Mr. RJ Benjamin a little shout out here in this. So thank you, homeboy or girl. You're awesome. You can be our favorite comment in next week's review too, just by leaving a comment on this review, because you'd be awesome too, just like that. Before we get into it, while y'all are still here and watching, special thanks to the patrons: Ismail Dempsey, Chris Prado, Jonathan Barnes, DJ Black, Hurricane, Linda Williams, and Corny Sparks. We'll talk about that at the end a little bit. And yeah, we're going to get into the episode now. So Christopher, why don't you tell the Google robots who are mad at me for swearing already, what is the name of this album that we're talking about?
So for this week's Headspace album review, we went with Jeezy's new album, Thug Motivation 104, The Legend of the Snowman.
Can we just acknowledge that TM104, when I see that, I think first, for a quick second, of Pokemon with technical machines and how, like, you would teach your Pokemon to move. And TM104, I believe, is an actual thing in the Pokemon games. Moving on.
Don't remember.
This is the part of the show where we like to contextualize our feelings or understanding with Jeezy's music, because if you guys are like longtime fans from back in like 2005 or whatever till today or even before, you're gonna feel differently towards something like a momentous sequel album than, say, myself and my relationship with Jeezy, not Weezy. Fuck. That's sorry about that, folks. But like, I say this because when we started doing this, people, I guess, just assumed we would know a lot or be big time fans or like question why we're doing it and whatnot. So I thought if I just explained like where I'm at in my Jeezy fandom, y'all could understand the lens that I took in this album with, which hopefully helps me, like, gives you something to work with, so that when we do discuss whatever in the comments, it's like I can understand your lens and we could, like, you know, educate each other and all that. That's like the goal of this, is to kind of create a community of people who like to just dive deep into this. As far as Jeezy goes, he's one of those dudes who, I swear, every freaking time I hear him rap, I'm like, yeah, Jeezy's got like the coolest voice. Like, he's just got one of those voices where he could read the phone book at me, and I'm pretty sure I'd be just okay listening to him read the phone book over a fucking beat for like an hour, because it would be Jeezy, like the yes and all the things he does to like accentuate it. Like, Jeezy goes in, but he also says smart shit, and he's kind of interesting to listen to. I know a few of his hits. I've listened to Trap or Die 1 once, because one of the songs has like something Trap or Die, the realest shit I ever wrote. And I'm like, well, if Jeezy's saying Trap or Die is the realest shit, that might be Put Me On with Kanye. I think Put On or whatever. Put on,
I put on for my city. Yeah.
And he has that line about Trap or Die being the realest thing he ever wrote.
No, fuck, because there's another one where this is the realest shit I never wrote. There's also another line
that's the start of My President is Black,
okay, yes,
which is a completely separate thing than what I'm bringing up now. Because
I know both the songs.
So that one is implying that My President is Black is this eccentric freestyle that he dropped and it was off the dome.
Right.
But the other one is him reminiscing back on the harder life of whatever and going, that's the shit I dropped, that was the firest.
Right.
So I put that on and I discovered what Gangsta Grizzle was. And then that sent me down like a rabbit hole of reading and learning about hip-hop history and the mixtape culture that I'd honestly never considered or thought a whole lot about. So that was really cool. But I was way too immature in my hip-hopdom to understand why anyone's rapping about selling drugs. We've moved way past that, and now I see the business mind of a guy like Jeezy in his lyrics. So honestly, I was just excited to it. But still, I love his voice. I've never really listened to a Jeezy album with any kind of a critical ear before, so this was a first for me. But I can tell you that I've never heard a track with Jeezy on that I did not like before, because he's so freaky. His attitude, there's something about Jeezy that I just really like in his delivery. I don't know how else to put it. I don't know. But, yeah, that's all I got to say about that. I was pretty excited for this project.
Nice. I stumbled upon Jeezy really, really young. I think the first song I remember was Trap Star. And I just remember loving his voice and really just getting into that, like, kind of grimy type of sound that he was bringing to the game. Of course, I was a little, like, I didn't really know what he was saying, to be real. Again, I was young, and, like, it was just really nice to listen to. It kind of made me feel really cool. It kind of gave me that, like, you know, I feel like a gangster a little bit listening to him. And then from there, I'm not really one, at least back then, I wasn't really one to go and, like, search for albums and really get into that. But if I liked the artist, I would, back in, like, LimeWire days and shit.
Okay.
I would like look up the song I'm looking for on LimeWire, and then I don't know, I'd read like the titles of some other songs, and if there was like a swear word in it or something, I'd download it and listen to it, and that's how I kind of started discovering other songs from him. And then it just kind of it kind of just looked like every song he featured on, I just fell in love with. I knew it was going to be a banger. I knew it was going to be good. If Jeezy was on the track, I just felt like, yep, I'm going to like that song. And I always ended up liking that song. And then he came out with Put On, came out with President is Black, came out with Vacation, and those were all songs that I played
I
too.
discovered all that crap in like 2015. For me, it was like late on. Or is it him who does I Love It? Ride till I die. Lord knows I stay high and I love
and
it.
You know I love, yeah, it's him.
Got hundreds on tape.
He also introduced me to Gorilla Zoe. He made a song with Gorilla Zoe, who I really started enjoying and liking a lot of his songs as well. And he also introduced me to Young Jog. So that was Coffee Shop's a great song from Young Jog. Anyway, this was again a lot of my younger years, which is why this is my first album to really sit down with Jeezy and really listen to it and understand, which I think is cool now that I've learned so much and I know like a lot of the terminologies. I know some like a lot more slang, and I kind of know more about like the different areas and stuff like that. So now listening to his music, I like the fact that I understand it more, because like I said before, it was just, this sounds cool.
I like the fact that I know a lot more about businessy stuff, so I can kind of see what the other people see in guys like Jeezy a lot more now. But yo, I like the cover because it's just all black except for like his face, the white of the bandana, and the shining of the diamonds. And you're like, damn. It's bold, right? Like, it's some shit that is going to work on shirts and whatnot.
Right.
But it's also, like, at the end of the day, when you think about it, the Legend of the Snowman, it's like, it's just, this is the imprint, almost like of his legacy. Like, It's just me looking at you with this look, like, ready to go.
Isn't this also, like, his, or apparently his last album?
I don't know. I don't know how much I believe anybody when they say they retire anymore. I mean, what's retiring, really? Retiring is just until you get your next gig. I mean, didn't Dave Letterman retire? And then he was on Netflix doing amazing interviews with people. And didn't, this guy, like, people just keep coming back because, I mean, it must be really boring to retire when you've been a guy who worked your whole life. Like, how do you retire? I don't know. I don't understand it. I would like to work until I freaking die. Not necessarily work for people,
right? But
like retire. If I can still put out content, if I can still play video games, I'll retire as a Twitch streamer. Like
right.
But I'll still do something. Still find a way to do something with it. Anyway, so I like the title. I like how, because from what I understand, like this is meant to be like the culmination to the story. Like he always wanted to be like 4 parts, ending with like, this is the legacy I am leaving behind, thinking back, looking at where he came from to where he is today. And I believe that's what the premise of this album is. It's like, this is my life and now I'm gonna present it to you. But like, it's different than say 2005 when he's dropping the first version of this project, where then he's in it, whatever, like in that world a little bit more, to like now. And I imagine at a certain point you kind of go clean as a rapper and you miss making enough legal money that you don't have to necessarily keep going in other routes. And when you're living this next level of life, like, it's really cool to me that you want to like end your legacy, almost like looking back and reminiscing and taking that time to reflect, almost like a deep dive into his history and giving us the best of what that would be. And from a premise perspective, I'm like, that's some fresh ass shit right over there. You can swear past 3 minutes, you just can't swear in the first 3 minutes. I don't know. I like the title and the cover. It's something I'm going to remember, which is weird because you would think it's a boring cover until you really look at the look in his eye and you're like, nah, there's like determination and will in that shit.
I see that. So in a weird way, I kind of figured we were gonna get some like memories, personal stories, and like how kind of Jeezy made it out of wherever he was and got to like being where he is today. But with the title of like Thug Motivation, I felt like he's also, and I'm not trying to make this fucking connection. It's just I reviewed something that reminded me of it when I did the Little Durk album, right? And he did Love Songs for the Streets. I felt like he made the album for literally like the people for the streets and all that stuff. So I feel like Jeezy kind of did the same thing with this. Like we are gonna get a lot of his experiences and stories, but like it's for.
I mean, yeah, because it's got motivation in the title. It's
Right.
Motivational music.
So I did kind of go into this album kind of being like, we're gonna get in a way like it's a playlist, like this, like I want to get motivated for doing certain shit. This is the album I want to listen to in a way. So that was pretty cool. I think the album cover really fits it in terms of like the Legend of the Snowman and just having his face kind of like drawn, kind of sketched out a little bit was really cool. Kind of giving him that that legendary status. That like, have you seen him? Have you seen like the, you know, when you think of the abominable snowman, right? Like the monster, the mystical creature. Like, kind of gives off that little bit of an effect. So I thought that was cool from the album art. The title of the title of the album, when he does write the Legend of the Snowman, it's that's what really went, okay, this is gonna be like his history and his and like more of his story, but as well motivating people and making this, I call it a playlist for people who want to get into that like mindset and that like type of boss attitude, or maybe who even come from the atmosphere that we might discover from Jeezy on the album.
Fair enough. One thing is for certain, though. I believe Mr. Jeezy fancies himself a little bit of an entrepreneur. I do, too.
Entrepreneur.
And he also is from the trap. So he's an entrapreneur, which is clever. Good pun, Mr. Jeezy. All you niggas thinking it's easy, go ahead and try it. One of the privileges that comes with having more than 600 IQ on Genius is you can do shit like annotate and crap to new songs. So I annotated where the intro and the outro are from. That's right. If you go to the Genius page of this song and you see that green highlight with the intro and the outro, you'll see my motherfucking name right there. Because I Googled that shit to find the Gary Vee speeches so that you could hear that, because I think it's really interesting. We see a lot of people use the introductory part of an album as a cosign every now and again. And oftentimes, like most recently, we can say, like, take like Benny the Butcher or West Side Gun, one of those two, having Raekwon kind of co-signing the Griselda crew, or things like
Benny the Butcher. I because I didn't do West Side Gun.
I don't remember which one of the two it was, or you know, like stuff like that happens a lot.
Right.
A lot in the 90s too. Busta Rhymes was a known guy to do some introductions.
Kind of like if that person's on your album, you know you've like made it in a sense.
So, funnily enough, there is apparently a trend of motivational business speechy things, which in a sense is what this album is kind of supposed to be, but like for the streets in a sense.
Right.
And so a colleague of mine actually sent me one from some Rocco guy or whatever, and it's like, if anything bad happens in your life, just say good. You lose your job, good. Now I can go get another job. Blah, 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 good. You know, like that kind of crap. I don't mean it's crap. It's just the same shit as Eat, Pray, Love, but like manifested for men.
Right.
Then you have like this Gary Vee guy, and literally you start watching it, and it's like, fear is not an option. I prefer to lose. I sometimes secretly hope that my companies go out of business to zero. I lose everything, and all of you write things on social media that I actually suck and was full of shit. And they always have to swear. You have to swear to prove your alpha male shit. I actually suck and was full of shit. And then in the dirt with the pain, I'm gonna rise like a fucking phoenix and kill all you motherfuckers. I mean it, yeah. And that's kind of how this album starts. So I'm like, that's interesting. And I listened to all 6 minutes of that shit. Nice. That video is 6 minutes long of Gary Vee dropping some motherfucker get up and go shit. Right. Then something I've learned along the way of this album reviewing is a lot of the shit you actually hear conceptually on some of the Streets albums, the more trap, the more drug dealer based stuff, actually really lines up with the kinds of books CEOs read, the corporate executive self-helps, honestly the strategies for power, for business trends, for marketing. And then you listen to the drug dealers and you're like, yo, that's a really good marketing plan. And you start realizing that a lot of this whole genre of music is essentially like education on how to think while operating. So it's not necessarily flossing so much as showing people the mindset you need to have. And I might be wrong about this, so you can come at me, but especially on something called Thug Motivation, I think it's about mindset.
Well, it's also...
And that's why I think he chose to use this little business quote. Then at the end, just to like floss, right? So he does the whole track, and you get that it's Gary Vee again, same voice. I think you should buy Weedings, right? Like I'm being serious, for real. Like this, is what I think you can do. I think a lot of kids are gonna make money. You're an entrepreneur. Like when I look at you, I look at you like entrepreneur, comma, artist, right? And then I listen to this thing, and about 1 minute and 34 seconds, this is Gary Vee basically verbally sucking off Jeezy on this little interview. But in 2018, Gary Vee had Jeezy on his little entrepreneur podcast thing. And that's awesome.
Right.
Like, that's incredible. Like, Jeezy is such an established entrepreneur at this point that on the song Entrapreneur, which essentially is how he gets his start, he's showing you that he thinks with the mentality of like these corporate executive power hungry, like, yeah, I can win, man. I know how to deal with all of the different obstacles in your life to turn them into opportunities to capitalize on every freaking moment. And then and so he kind of sandwiches the song between Gary Vee and does his little thing. I guess I talked for a little minute, but I thought that was awesome. Why? Because it's like if I could get Ty Lopez to do my album intro, because dude was just saying I'm a good entrepreneur. Like, it's such a move to people worth so much more money than anybody watching the show, anybody here.
It's like a sense of validation in a way.
Like, it's the kind of thing that just shows people that he's playing in a game where like other people aren't even thinking. Like, I'm impressed that Jeezy gets a financial tycoon to co-sign his freaking album like that. Like, this guy would have had to have approved the sample use.
Right.
This guy would have had to say, yes, it's cool, or his team or whatever. Even if he paid for it, he knew about it ahead of time and said, that's dope.
Right.
And I'm impressed with that. Like, that to me is more impressive than if he had gotten most people that in the hip-hop industry to co-sign his project like that.
Right.
Because that's speaking money in a way. So that was really cool to me, just the way to start it off. But how do you feel about this song before we get into, I guess, the rest of it?
I wanted to touch upon like the way he used the word trap in the entrepreneur word. It was really cool to think that, like, because when you were saying how like the way that they're moving is really more business like, right? And then you can like kind of branch out and invest with what you're doing. I like that that type of imagery of like I'm using the trap house and all of its activities to then do something completely different. Like not a lot of the times, but I do hear some of the rappers, and I do see, you know, whatever social medias or whatnot, like there's a lot of people who may be just kind of being like just stuck in the trap. Like that's just the life they want to live. That's what they want to do, and that's it. And I like how Jeezy's kind of given the this is the life I came from, and this is the success I got, and this is the type of moves I'm making now once I've, you know, made the money and made.
Like, even if we go back to like the title of this track, one more idea on it, it's like if you think like an entrepreneur in the trap and you confuse those two things, like he's like, to be successful in the trap you have to be an entrepreneur, only it's extra hard because it's in the trap.
Right.
You know, like, but the fact that it fuses that idea of becoming a self-sufficient businessman, and that's how you should approach it. Like, it's just different than glory, we'll say, or cool thing. It's not. It's about money.
Absolutely.
Let's get that cheddar.
But that was really just what I wanted to start with. The song is really good. I do like how he uses the Gary V speech and like the little kind of outro where he's like praising him to give us this, kind of sets up the song in a way where I feel like I was preparing myself through the beginning intro speech to get some like street knowledge in a way. The way I kind of felt that Jeezy used Gary V's thing to set up the song was like, all right, whatever Jeezy's about to say is gonna teach me how to like kind of think a certain way, kind of act a certain way. So in verse 1, I like how.
Well, there's only one verse.
Right. I like how Jeezy starts off kind of giving us the start and the end of where he is. Straight out of my mother, straight to the gutter. You can trap, you can die, one or the motherfucking other. I like that. It's like he kind of gives us this image of like right when he was born, he was already like into shit, already in the negative areas.
But also the rhyme scheme is cool, right?
Right.
Because it's straight out the mother, straight to the other. So I guess he's putting it on the beat. Then you can trap, you can die. No real rhyme there, just kind of flowing.
Right.
One or the motherfucking other. So right at that point, it's like he triples down on it. So it's like 1, 1, nothing, 1, 1, 1. And that's how the rhyme plays out. And mathematically, that's cool to me. I like that kind of a flow. And then, flows on with the rest of the track, but figured to point it out.
Well, he kind of, and I like how he's also giving us a little bit of where he kind of comes from and what he had to do. Yeah, I sold dope to both my uncles, should be ashamed. Then my cousin should be ashamed. Then my cousin Nisi went in my room and stole my change. One day I had my 4-door Bentley. I need some leg room. Now I like that because he's kind of showing us like this is how we kind of act in this atmosphere. This is kind of where I kind of understood certain things in life. Him selling dope to his uncles could have like, done something to him or shown him a way of life that's a little bit different. Like maybe, you're supposed to be a certain way when you're older, but look at my uncles, right? Like they're buying drugs off of me and I seem to be doing a little bit better or whatnot. So that was cool. The realization of Nisi, his cousin, stealing his money, it's like just giving you that like I couldn't even trust my family in a way. That's how like I guess he has to be super like just to himself. And then I like how he kind of follows up and giving you that if you kind of stick to being just with yourself, you could get yourself a 4-door Bentley.
I think that's a fantasy. He goes, one day I had my 4-door Bentley, I need some leg room, but right now I'm stuck in this trailer with 2 bedrooms. So he immediately follows it up, like almost like he's dreaming as a thought bubble of the Bentley, which he now has, right? But back then, in that moment. So I believe that from the story that is this album, because on Instagram, Jeezy's like, they shouldn't even call it a track list. This is the chapters to the greatest story ever told. I swear, that's how he advertised this. And so I pictured it like his story, and I get where he's coming from. Like, it's his story, and it starts off describing the environment, where he comes from, and how he played the situation.
So another line I liked was when he said, what you know about the first and the third, my anniversary. Now, I like that line because I do understand that, like, I'm on the first, it's like a welfare check. Maybe he's talking about getting money and being able to flip it. But I don't really know the connection to the third. I've heard, like, some lyrics from some other rappers that, like, you get money on the first and you're, like, broke by the third. I don't know if that's a connection to that, or is there something else that he's using? Is it, like, by the third day he's got enough, like, drugs that he's re-upped on or whatnot that he can make more money? I don't know, but I thought it was a really cool type of line to really think about, that he celebrates this. He celebrates getting paid on the first, and then if I think of it that way, maybe he celebrates getting paid on the third as well in terms of just the investment. Go on.
I just like when they said, you gonna need some, are you thinking it's easy? Go ahead and try it then. You gonna need some theme music. You hear my violins? Because we play the world's tiniest violins. Like when you are assholey telling somebody you don't give a fuck about their feelings.
Right.
But it's also not as easy as he makes it look. So go ahead and try it so that you can fail.
Right. I like later on in the verse he goes, "Put that on my sister, my mama waved at Madonna. You are listening to the entrepreneur in Dolce Gabbana. Self-made is my understanding. Let's get it understood. Left the hood and came back with a feast. They call me Robin Hood."
That is the only line I can't stand. That is not a good line.
The Robin Hood line?
Yeah. I don't know why. I don't like it. Self-made, I understand. Let's get it understood.
Is it the hood?
Left the hood and came back with a feast. They call me Robin Hood.
Like, I mean, it's accurate. It's what he did.
It's kind of.
Like, if you think about it, Jeezy's going like to the rich and he's stealing from the rich and bringing back to the community.
Like, I got it.
Could be poor.
It's not like it's just the way it gets delivered. Like, it's the only line on this song. I was like, that's weird.
I feel that. I like the "put that on my sister, my mama waved at Madonna." Now, the reason why I like the "waved at Madonna" line is because I think he's referencing cocaine. I think it's a really slick line to saying white girl, which is cocaine in a slang way. Because I don't know why he would be. I don't really understand why he would be just throwing in that he gets to wave at Madonna, unless it's like he's solidifying that he's super rich, that he can do that now. He's like friends with her. But I feel it's more in line of using Madonna as the term white girl, and that equals to cocaine. So that was cool. Now, other than that, the song kind of just continues to flow through, and you really get this vibe of just like, these are, if you really work hard in whatever aspect, you could get lavish things. You could live like a different life.
I mean, he goes on to describe how his career a bit, like, so he went out there and accomplished his stuff. People kind of maybe were some haters. You're gonna need some theme music balance. Streets Were Dead, I dropped my first album, gave him lights. That's the Thug Motivation one.
Right.
Street Motivation. Then I dropped Inspiration. I done it twice. That's the second Thug Motivation. Sold a few quarters in plastic, I gave him class. Served a few on take, that closed casket. That street, touching the millions, buying the buildings. Selling water, tequila, might touch some billions. So he's kind of not describing lavish living here. He's saying, I went ahead and showed the way of how to do it.
Right.
And then I'm going on and take my money, putting it into real estate, product endorsements, brand deals, and actually amplifying my brand, my clean money, in a sense where I'm going to get real dividends. It's not lavish living, it's tycoon living.
Nice.
But the hood, yeah, they label us heroes, entrepreneurs. Because the drug dealer, America, they label us stealers, that's the allure. But the hood, yeah, they label us heroes, entrepreneurs. And that I thought was fascinating, because it's kind of the epiphany that I had over the course of doing this channel so far. I used to be more on the fucking drug dealer, blah, 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 bad moral, blah, 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 I'm an idiot. And then I moved on to, holy shit, these guys are like successful entrepreneurs, like success story after success story. Like, when I hear a guy like Jeezy or Benny or, I don't know, any one of the Jadakiss or any of these dudes that like have a background but also were able to make all sorts of freaking money off of great endeavors, and they're taking the time to take their wisdom and instead of writing a 400-page book, they're going to put it down on an album? Damn straight, they're entrepreneurs. They know what's up. I really like that line. So then I get into my thoughts on the song real quick. The beat's aight. It's got this hype banger feel. The way he spits is aight. It's got this feel to it, and it's got a vibe. And my first thought was like, yo, you are going to either love this to death, or you're going to be like, it's aight, or you're going to be like, fuck that shit.
Right.
You're going to be in one of those three camps. Because, like, you know how Chris here gets excited about all these songs and he's just, yeah, it's exactly what I love. Well, if you're into that sound and this is exactly what you love, you are in for a fucking treat, and the whole album's going to get you hyped.
Right.
Except for a couple of tracks that are kind of, I don't know, maybe you'll disagree with me. But, like, me, I'm more like, yo, this is pretty freaking great grind music. I like music that, like, makes me feel like I want to go work and get shit done. And that's the vibe I got from this track. I'm like, yo, gotta get something done right now. Let's go work on something. And I'm like, wait, I'm reviewing the album. Technically, I am doing that. Either way, I give it a 4.25. It's not 100% what I would go to in music to like throw on to bump to.
Right.
However, it is something I would go to while working to throw on to feel motivated. because it does have that motivational energy to the way he's spitting it with the intro and outro to all of this stuff. Like, I don't know, man, even the story of the track inspires me to grind. So on that front, I freaking love it. I gave it a 4.25 on 5.
I as well give it a 4.2. I think it does give off this nice energy of being motivated. I agree, though, that you either like it, you don't, or you're kind of just like, it is what it is.
Now, before we move on, I would like to just point out Jeezy is an excellent rapper on a flow, can enunciate, proficient. Like, it's clear. Every syllable is clear. Every syllable is placed at the absolute perfect point in the pocket of the beat to come off proper. And I just wanted to give him all the props on his technical proficiency as a rapper, along with that fresh ass tone of voice that he doesn't have to ever change. He can just do it for literally ever and it will always be dope. On that note, that's how you know he can talk big shit, because he is big shit. Man, I like this hook, because the truth is, I want Shorty to ride me like a Dodge while I ram that bitch.
The chorus was okay.
It was pretty fresh, man, because he talks some big shit. Because you gotta keep in mind, like, when I hear this chorus, I'll think back to high school Cégep. Cégep is our version of it's in between a high school and college. So I think back to that era of my life when I'm getting into hip hop proper, but as like an 18-year-old, without parents telling me I can't listen to shit that says fuck and talks about drugs.
Isn't Cégep in between high school and university for us?
That's what I said.
You said college.
Same shit.
Cégep is our college.
I don't know, man. College and university, I don't even know if they're the same things across borders.
Fair.
Even still. So it has that kind of like, that kind of like feel to it,
yes.
Which I really like on a nostalgia front, because it makes me really think back to like the hip hop I originally heard when I came of age, we'll say. Then he goes, calling Dipset on our Killer Cam that shit, and I'm like, oh shit, cause Cameron and Dipset and all that shit, that was fun. Kind of $100,000, rubber band that shit. I'm like, why not? I said, and then he goes out and repeats it. And on the one hand, I can see how you might not feel like this is a fire chorus, but to me, this is as fire as when you hear that trappy modern version shit.
Fair enough.
It's the same thing, but 10 years back. It's like a throwback to that version of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel this one more. This is more my jam. Then the verses are short on this album, and all the songs are short on this album. So I thought it would be cool to comment on that now, because I know the second half of this album review is going to be like boop, 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 boop as we go through it, because it's 18 tracks. And what I thought was fascinating is it just felt like, and I feel like this applies to most songs, like Jeezy heard the beat, rapped until he felt it was done, and then wrapped up the beat. I wasn't trying to make like bangers, he just did it, and it just came out, and like whatever verse came out, whatever hook came out, and maybe I'm wrong, but like, and I'm not trying to say they're not bangers. I'm saying that they're like all short, like, and they weren't like he was not trying to get those third verses in, is what I'm trying to say. So I feel like the difference between a 2-verse song and a 3-verse song is a lot of conceptual effort in a lot of cases to justify that extra minute and a half. So I'm not trying to take away from it. It was just an observation on this project where, like, I think the longest track is literally the last one.
Yep.
And a couple of them are over 3 minutes and 30 seconds, but most of them are about 3 minutes or less, which is fine. This one's just over 3 minutes, and this is one of the longer tracks on the album. And lately I've been doing these long ass freaking 6-minute songs over on the classic side of things. So like, I was like, this is short. There's not a lot of lyrics here. This is kind of refreshing, and then I'm back to like, I'm just vibing to it, and I love the way I'm vibing to it. It really is cool. I've been dropping classics, that. TM104. What was trap before that? I don't want to interject my opinion into the debate, but I do understand that Jeezy and T.I. have certainly had a little argument about who is the founder of the proper trap music, where Jeezy feels it's him, evidently, and other folk feel that T.I. did it in, I think it was 2003, with whatever album he dropped then that had Rubber Band Man on it. Because Rubber Band Man, wow, that's it.
I saw the T.I. I didn't see the Jeezy one, but I saw the T.I. one where he was like, trap wasn't even a word until I came out with trap music. And
Which is fair. But what Jeezy's saying here is trap may have been a thing, but I took that thing and manifested it to greatness.
Yep.
Hit him with the snow flow. Sound like a throwback. And that's kind of what I was literally just saying. It literally sounds like a throwback. Like he's going back to the era when he started, and he's giving us a track that's just like that. And then, you know, hit it with the Chevron on the street, say the snowback, feds taking Kodaks to burner on LoJack, one call, say less, they come to your door, man. Hey. So that's cool because he's looking at the fact that he's being watched and whatnot, and the stakes, the danger of dealing with the technology and whatnot has changed the game to a point where you almost have to have like new moves, you know? The money and all that. You got before rap, you know, some stuff right there, Mr. Snowman. And he's just trying to like saying that anything you can do is built on my accomplishments. So respect the big shit that I am.
You people need to thank me, bitch. I left the door cracked. I found that cool.
But it's fair, right? Like, look, there's not a lot of dudes who I think can make these grandiose claims like that. Like, look, if you are at this point in a 40-year-old genre, if you have not even clocked 10 years, you don't get to talk about bests and goats and being the greatest or the bests, because if you do,
like a 10-year
you got to be in the game for 10 years, unless the people say your shit is the shit. Like, and I think Kendrick is one of the rare examples of a guy under 10 years where that shit's really going down. Jay-Z is an example of that. Jeezy, I don't know if people were calling him a GOAT in 2005 because I wasn't that connected to it. But I understand that he is seminal to the genre. And the fact is, he's now at almost, a 20-year career practically. He wants to talk about some shit that he built. Accolades are trackable and provable. He can make a claim like that. So that's what I'm saying. Like, it's just when you look on YouTube and you look at a lot of the young people and what they choose to rap about, they're trying to emulate the kind of stuff that a dude like Jeezy might say while being in the game for like 2 or 3 years. Like, it might feel like being in the game for like the hip hop game even for like 3 years is a lot, but there's no way.
But
there's no way you're deserving of best of anything at 3 years into the game.
I agree with that because you still have to, like, you know, get your credibility up and keep going for it and build your whole thing. But do you think that, and this is just like side question, right? Answer in the comments if you'd like. Do you think that the way that music and the industry and everything and kind of hip hop is changing, you think 3 years is maybe now a lot? Like, is it possible?
It's never been a lot. You think other genres of music haven't had their moment in pop?
Fair.
You think this isn't just everywhere? Well, you're gonna look at whatever singer, techno person. What happened? Are Chainsmokers still around? I don't know. See, I don't really know. Halsey, does she do things? Like, I don't know who any. Like, I just hear names.
That's the thing. Like, they come like that's what I'm saying.
Whereas,
it seems like people are coming in, they're doing their thing, they're getting their fame, but then it's like there's because I've seen Halsey do her shit.
But then they're not really. But then they're not in the same tier as a Jeezy. Because you know what, Jeezy's basically been around since I've been an adult. Yeah. My entire adult life, Jeezy's been a prominent force in the game.
Right.
That's different than dude with 3 years. That guy, that's irrelevant. Doesn't even count.
Fair.
That's a blip. That's like, fuck, what's his name? Like who? Like Fetty Wap. Remember when Fetty Wap was like everywhere?
Yes.
And everyone would have called Fetty Wap relevant and all this stuff. Where is he?
He's now old news.
Is Jeezy old news? No. That's the difference.
Okay.
You need to be tenured before you're talking some shit, is what I'm trying to say. Before you even mention being in the conversation, you need to have some ability to compete. And you have to remember that literally Eminem and Jay-Z are in the conversation. Mm-hmm. So, like, if you want to talk about contributions to whatever, you have to, like, actually be successful, which in a 2019, even view counts don't count as much when you know that 1.6 billion Indian people are on YouTube. That didn't exist before. That just devalues a view count. So 60 million views means less than it did 5 years ago if you understand like a real analytical way of breaking down the numbers and what the real value is. So, and what I'm trying to say is you gotta have time on your side in order to prove some shit. I think it was Royce saying, what's more important? And this was very recently when he was blasting some people for dissing Eminem. What's more important, having $2 million for a quick minute or $700,000 a year for a 20-year career? What's actually economically the right move?
I see that.
Anyway.
I see that.
I feel like those people who like Jeezy hopefully like that kind of business thinking. So all I'm trying to say is I respect the fact that he's still up in the game and that he's doing this and whatever. I like how he then describes his crack dealing situation in the next verse. I enjoy when he goes through that Jiffy and that bitch and Peter Pan that shit. That was a fun line. Split a whole one down the middle. Jackie Chan that bitch. And that. It was
I didn't know if that was like... If like, cause I know like when a lot of rappers like split it down the middle, they're talking about like a blunt or like a Dutchie or whatever.
I feel like he's in the middle of cooking crack, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he's talking about a blunt. Either way, he's from Westside Macon, Georgia. He ran that bitch, and then he still got good standing with those people. I thought it was a cool way to end it out. But like from a sonic perspective, I realized this is equally as good as the last one, and I feel like I realized a lot of the album's gonna sound kind of like this.
Yeah.
Which is where I brought my original statement. If you're really loving this, you're in for a treat. I'm giving this another 4.25. It's very good, and I very much enjoy it on the hustle and grind shit.
I as well gave it a 4.2 out of 5.
All right, so there might be people who make music and who make videos, but they don't look like the other people, except for the fake ones.
Fuck I look like letting the nigga spray me. Bulletproof the Maybach.
So this one definitely follows suit in like the other ones.
I like this one better.
I feel like there's like a flow going on story-wise. We start off with like the introduction of this is where I come from and what I did.
Right.
This is why I'm the big shit, because it's part of his legend.
Right.
This is how my attitude's been, and I can back it up. Then it's like people might be checking him or questioning some stuff.
Talking shit, spreading rumors or whatnot.
He's asking the pivotal question, the fuck I look like. That's the hook with like ad-libby type sentences between it, which is a cool way to like spice up the chorus, right? Because like every single time it's going to be a little bit different, and he can kind of communicate multiple ways of threatening you in this, which what he kind of does in this one throughout the track, but it's a lot smarter than say leaving the hook open, or it's cooler in my opinion than those hooks that are like super repetitious and would feel just really long and boring otherwise. So it's a fascinating way to keep this dynamic, I guess. So kudos on that choice there. Otherwise, I feel like the verses are kind of in the same vein of what we've been getting. You know, fuck I look like, letting up play me, grown ass man, but I'm still my mama's baby. 2020, I'm getting money like the 80s. I like that. I like that choice of saying 2020 because he realizes that it's almost like it's going to be more relevant, or he's planning to drop it as a single in the future or something. But like coming up to the end of 2019, it kind of sets you up of like this tone, whereas a lot of other people would say 2019, it almost keeps the album from getting dated until 2021. So all of next year, you're going to be thinking, oh, it's the same year. It's new. It's fresh, which is such a clever move, and I was really impressed by that.
Nice.
One of my favorite lines were the mashed potatoes. Everything is gravy. The fuck I look like playing with these rappers. He who wears the crown, king of the trappers. You know, and then he just flows in. And it's kind of just like that. Bulletproof car flowing through. And he sounds like the kind of guy who has been there, done that, knows it for real. If you mess with him, it's almost a joke to him because you're not even real competition. And I don't have a lot more to comment on that because otherwise he's sticking to it and selling the energy and I guess the characteristics of what you're supposed to be like. Like if you are in this world, your attitude is the fuck I look like. You coming at me like that, especially, and here's my accolades to back it up why he gets to talk that shit. accolades were important. I like the "Ain't Nothing But a Gangster Party" line as he throws it in, because I believe Snoop was involved with that, and there's a Crip line right before, so it's a cool little old throwback line. I don't know. I give this a 4.15 on 5. Now you may say, why would you give it a little bit less of a grade?
Right.
The beat was just less engaging to me. I understand what it's being. I understand the genre of what this is, and when you listen to the project play through as a whole for an hour, it fits really, really well. If I have to cherry pick the best of songs, this might not be one of my favorite ones. But like, we're not talking about a significant difference. It's a high quality, well produced track that is just not something it isn't motivating me as much as the other two did. We'll say it motivated me a little less, but this also isn't necessarily the vibe I grew up on. So if you grew up on this vibe, I bet this is like a throwback banger that has you hella excited right now. And I also respect the quality of the track. It's just, I'm into a lot more lyrical, miracle type shit most often, and this is on a slower end of stuff. And so I'm doing my best to be as open-minded as I can be sonically. Content-wise, I really like what he has to say, because I just feel like this is a wise man teaching me shit on every track. Anyway, that's all I got to say about that.
I do enjoy the song. I like how I like the stance that I kind of interpreted from this was like he's addressing a lot of rumors or a lot of just people who are trying to step to him. And I like how he's solidifying his like boss attitude, his like tough guy act in regards to just being real with himself. So that was awesome. The song really just kind of flows through just going like, the fuck I look like, letting somebody trick me, and kind of just keeps bringing up different, I guess, scenarios that people may have said have happened, or things that actually could have actually happened in his past, and he's kind of just defending himself like, yo, I've been real, I've been doing this, I've never let somebody, put me down or like try to walk all over me or whatnot. I've always just stood my ground. I as well don't really have much to say, but I do like the line, the fuck I look like getting off my drizzic, in and out the bank, bitch. I've been getting busy, counting hundreds, dizzy, two-stepping like Trizik. Don't get it fucked up, the clip still hold 50. I like the way he's I like the way he's using the drizzic and the trizik words, the way he's kind of like flowing through it. It was really cool. It was like an interesting way that he's just kind of playing around with words. But other than that, I mean, the song's pretty just straightforward. Don't really step to him. Don't make him look like something he's not. He's kind of just straightforward. I'm this tough dude who has my shit straight, who's got that vision and he's working for it, and he'll fuck you up if he has to. So 4.2.
Yeah, and I do think though that at a top level concept, the track listing is on purpose to kind of tell you a little bit of a story. So in the sense, like I said, he's kind of questioning people questioning him. And then the next track is almost like a response to that, as he's got to better tell him.
As a matter of fact, 10 minutes later, I was cooking some crack.
Yeah, and I feel like here we are with him kind of like flexing back, responding with, do you know who I am, where I come from? And again, this is a little bit of a retrospective album, so I think from like a timeline perspective, each track is selling a sentiment of like flow of what to think about, while flowing timeline between then and now.
Right.
So when he's talking about stuff like, got the F&M right here, right on my lap, looking like I made $1 million, perhaps mind me I'm ducking if we shooting up craps, because missed this point and we busting up straps.
Yep.
It's almost like he's just reminding you, this is where I came from, this is what I'm about, this is the flow. But yo, right away, I feel like this track just had a life that we haven't yet heard on the album. From a beat perspective, from everything, I feel like this is absolutely the most exciting track to me thus far on the project. Because I'm not going to lie, Up until this song, I was a little bit scared that like it was gonna be this consistent sound, which
Right.
it is, but in a direction that maybe I wasn't feeling, and I'd have to fucking like try to like it and shit. But nah, man, it's just fucking fun. He's flowing through this whole verse, and then hope rhyme beat the feds. I just might make it in rap.
I like that.
I connected with that line so much, man, because it feels like I go to my day job and I grind through all these things with this idea where like it's like, I hope I don't become a lifer at one of these companies and that I can make it in rap, because to me that feels like a jail sentence. I mean, I know it's not literally, but it's what it feels like when I think about the next 40 years of my life. Because, I still have 36 years before the legal retirement age in Canada. So that's kind of whack, no? Anyway. But then he follows that up with, right now, package on the road, I pray, making it back. It's just pulled in the garage, as a matter of fact. 10 minutes later, I was cooking some crack. Now, what I like about that is it shows his ethic. So, as an example, I have the choice when I get home from work to do a lot of things. I can watch YouTube videos. I can play some video games. I can clean. I can write music. I can review an album. I can do all of these things. What should I be doing? And then you think about it, the way Jeezy's choice would be whatever's going to get me paid. And so sometimes I don't clean as much as I should, we'll say, because I'm doing a bunch of other stuff. But like, I guess my whole point was, you can choose to be a waste of time, or you can be like Jeezy, and when the package arrives, get to work immediately. Like, he jumped at it. Like, it's here. Sooner I get it, sooner I'm out, sooner I sell it, sooner I got the next one coming in. And that ethic is why $1 million on the way. Give a fuck about what they say. And that hook is just flowing like he's winning, Then, the second verse is interesting. If the first part kind of flows the same thing, he's cooking it up and whatnot. Drive it to the west side, I'm gonna give it to Blue. Yeah, I heard he turned state. Damn, who would've knew? My son consciously said he would've done it to you. Still run with killers and them dealers. Yeah, she loving the crew. And I basically get the sense that somebody kind of snitched on him or went to the feds, and then, his son, I guess, points out, this is something that could happen to you if you're not careful. You could get caught and locked up. But, it's the life, and you still kind of do it and runs through it. And I don't know if I fully grasp that, but I love the way it flowed through. I kind of like the danger in the way he spits it, but not like this recklessness. Like, I have to take the risk that I need to take to get to where I need to be, which is what every successful entrepreneur will tell you. The real reason you are... Here's like a good motivational thing. The real reason you are not achieving your dreams is because you are afraid of what people think. I literally heard this. You are afraid that who's going to judge you, your mother, your father, what they might think of you when you have to do the things you need to do to get to where you need to be. And that there's probably some truth in that. And I like the fact that Jeezy does not have that fear. And that's really cool to me. Jeezy also, I don't believe, has that fear. Anyway, I get this one a 4.35. I feel like it's a little more my kind of banger.
I like how he's responding. I like how he's coming back and just solidifying that I think everybody forgot who I really was. And for me at first kind of listen, it felt like this was more of just like a gun song. Like, if you fuck with me, I've got these type of guns. I've got these different types of ammunition that I can use. But then after hearing it again and again, it was more like kind of just solidifying what he has done to get to where he is. I like the hope rhyme beat the feds. I just might make it in rap. I like that type of thinking where he's noticing that he can freestyle when he's talking to cops to get him out of trouble. That's how I kind of pictured it. That he's thinking, you know what, maybe I'll put this talent to somewhere else.
I took that I hope that I can make it as a rapper and go clean before the feds clip me as a crack dealer.
I'm not saying that's not it. I agree with that too. I just, when I first heard it, I was like, that's a cool thing. You kind of latched onto a talent that you had in a certain experience you were going through, and then you're like, you know what, let me use that to get onto the other side of the fence, let's say. So that was really cool. I do appreciate his consistency with that type of mentality of just getting to work. That was nice. But it really, part of me kind of feels like it's really, I guess, heavier when you know it's dealing with like crack, cocaine, drugs, and this type of lifestyle. Because like you could also have that same mentality of like getting up, going to work, and doing your shit, if that's the type of life you want, right? But in terms of talking about that risk, I feel like it's what they're doing that is like the risk is not just what they're doing. It's the whole goal. It's the whole end result. It's like it kind of feels like Jeezy's okay with what he's doing and the decisions he's making in terms of like cooking crack and all this shit to make the money, but he also kind of believes like the bigger risk is losing everything, not just getting locked up and not just like maybe dying or whatever the case is. So that's kind of how I looked at it. Like, in a way, the risky part is not like it, because I know that it's a risk when you're doing this shit. That's inevitable. But it looks like he doesn't see what he's doing as the risk. It's losing the bigger picture. It's losing, I guess, the life that he's trying to get to, or at least like the investments and the cleaner things he wants to do after, you know, he's like selling all the crack and shit.
Where did you get that from?
No, it's how I interpret it.
Like, there's almost nothing about this that makes me feel like Jeezy's fearing losing anything. In fact, to me, it just sounds like Jeezy's confident that he will achieve what he needs to achieve.
Right. Where did I? Maybe
I get kind of from like Hope Rhyme beat the feds. I just might make it in rap. Maybe he's fearing he's gonna get caught. But in that case, it's getting caught keeps you from getting to where you need to be.
It was the fact of being like he got the package and then he started cooking it.
That's just because he's trying to make money fast.
I understand that. I'm saying like I kind of had this thought. I was like, there's a risk there. You know, what you're doing is really risky business. But I didn't feel like Jeezy is looking at the current action in terms of like cooking crack as the risky business. The risk that he's taking, or like the risky business, is losing the fucking bigger picture.
I don't think he sees it as a risk. Because he's clearly got a plan that this is a means to an end. Where like he did this to do what he had to do, to like go through with it.
Right.
I mean, obviously there's a risk in selling drugs, but like, I mean, it's just a weird, like, literally everybody that takes a risk fears losing everything. That is the fear of all risk.
I'm probably not explaining right, but it doesn't even matter. I gave the song a 4.2. I think it's good in regards to kind of being that like, don't fuck with me. This is what I do.
I mean, on that front, yeah, I agree with you. Anyway, the next track then is called Mr. PYREX. Alright, so we have another short one. And, well, in the last track, the story is you better watch out because he's an effective drug dealer who cooks it up and does what he's got to do.
Right.
Now, one of the more frequent cookware brands that might create a product that is used in the construction of turning cocaine into crack might be PYREX, the little glass things. They're actually excellent, and regardless of your legality of your use, support PYREX because they make good shit. That's just coming from me over here. I like PYREX. PYREX glass. Oh, freak, man. It's good cookware. And then he kind of has a little intro, and I like how he just keeps reminding you he's here for thug motherfucking motivation. You know, fuck what you think. You know, I'm here to motivate the thugs and get this bread. And I like that mentality. I like to point it out that one of the things I look for the real ones is an ability to admit loss, an ability to admit they're not perfect, and a willingness to share their knowledge and abilities and skills to help other people. So in a sense, creating a whole album series to motivate the hood into making better decisions shows that Jeezy's a real one to me. And then he's Mr. PYREX because he's established in whatever. So following up on the last track, it's just kind of almost branding the Legend of the Snowman as Mr. PYREX. And I just love that. Just closed $1 million deal behind curtains. It's almost like he knew that line was hot. Mm-hmm. And that one day, soon, People are going to start sampling that shit. And you're going to hear it in other people's tracks in the future. Like I call it today. That's a line motherfuckers are going to sample in the future. Because you could just plug that into anybody's hook. You know, one of those hooks that's like a bunch of people's hotlines and whatever. That's what I think happens with that. And then, yo, I really liked it, man. You know I done it. You saw how I did it. You got the eye of the tiger. Guess I was over competitive. Adrenaline, discipline. I'm going to need some Ritalin. I ain't serving these. Guess I'm going to need me some middlemen. That was boss to me because he kind of says, I taught y'all the game. I showed y'all how it was done. While he's rhyming and everything's flowing proper. But most importantly, he's pointing out that if you do the dirt yourself, it's problematic. So get some people in the middle. He's upgraded his establishment, so he's cooked it up. And now his operation is growing as he's got to distribute it. And I thought that was cool. The boy moving militant like he fresh out the military. They want me to fall off that closer to never worry.
That was nice.
Because he basically made up a month like it's never going to happen, which I wasn't sure how I felt about it, but Chris likes it. And it's just, again, this mentality of, you know, possession, intent. You do the job or get fired. Don't pull her underwear. She pulled them shits to the side.
I like the line, it's grind over pride.
Yeah, and it's like, this is the type of stuff that I've been learning. Because, like, one of the main mantras of behind the scenes is slang content like dope. Because I found myself very motivated by the mentality of the drug dealers. Honestly, there's no time for emotions in this shit. Go in for the work. Get that crap done. Stay focused. Grind or die. And by die, in my case, I guess is potential and dreams. But I treat it with the severity as if there's a gun to my head. So I listen to these dudes, and it helps you frame your thinking. Anyway, the second verse is the same kind of thing. I really like when he goes, that chopper came with a drum, boom, Travis Barker, because nice. Travis Barker is one of the sickest drummers ever.
I felt like he was referencing it to be like an automatic, because like the last Travis Barker track, I think it was the last one I heard.
All the Travis Barker tracks.
Right, that's true.
He's so fast. He's so
speeds up.
Oh, he's so good.
I felt like a Jeezy was going like with the AK with the drum on it.
But like if I was Travis Barker right now, I would feel cooler than almost anything else that's been said about me. Overall, I felt like this track brought the flow, brought the everything. It was pretty cool. It's like he cooked it, he's moving it out, reminding you how the shit goes. I get this a 4.25, and I do think it kind of moves the granular album story along.
I like how he's kind of just still maintaining that like work mentality. The whole song really was just kind of telling me, just keep working, just keep going at it. Granted, his work is with the PYREX and making that type of stuff, but the idea is really just do what you got to do, make your money, and just keep focusing on that. Pretty much self-explanatory. 4.2. The song is good.
Alright, the next one features CeELO Green, which got me real excited because the truth is Jeezy's already rich.
And diamonds too. Maybe that's the reason.
This is the best beat on the album, I think. Good job, Justice League, doing this great ass beat. This is like the fucking drum patterns are just fucking fresh and shit.
Very different vibe to it.
To me, this might be my favorite song on the album. Like, this is so good to me. Just CeELO just coming in with, you got mansions, homie, and diamonds too. Maybe that's the reason she's digging you. You got all the riches, baby, don't be surprised. Got millions in your heart. Gold in your head, you know? And you get the sense that, okay, so after being Mr. PYREX, the consequence is you're rich. But as he's moved into music, he's already rich, you know?
Right.
And I think what we're doing here is we're looking at, obviously with that hook, like, people are treating you a little bit different now, and things are going to be changing a little bit. At least from, like, the story of the album perspective. And then just the way he rhymes it, man. Who gives a fuck if you blood or Crips, since I got it out the mud. And you were really out here laying it down just like a rug, manifesting these millions. I'm still a thug, steady buying, selling these buildings. I'm still the plug.
That was cool.
Just get out once you put it in. That's all I'm saying. Pac-Man ain't no arcade. That's how they're playing. And it's like the way he's flowing on this, I feel like it's like a step up from everything else we heard on the album so far. And it's just flowing in a way where you feel this boss mentality. Like he's kind of made the money. He's questioning what other people are saying, because he's actually going out there and doing some big ass moves. Like he's in real estate now. That's some next level shit. You're already rich than a bitch. It's in your mind. The shit is like a scavenger hunt you gotta find. And I thought that was cool too, because he's pointing out like the ability to get there. It's all mental. Once you get into that way of thinking rich, you will become rich, because it's inevitable. You'll start making the kind of money moves you need to be making. And so the fact that he compares it to a scavenger hunt, like you just gotta figure out the clues, unlock the puzzle, and then it's yours. And then been through it, highs and lows, squares and O's, meaning he's had losses, meaning checks the realness checkbox of not being perfect, which I really like.
The squares, the bricks of coke, the O's, the ounces.
And then first come, first serve, Chris. What's the hesitation? This ain't the fab life, this the real life, Chris. When it's all said and done, what you feel like, Chris. And then it's just pointing out, there's no time to wait. When you have decisions that you need to make in your life that are consequential to your success, you make them now. Because having hesitation is not the right mentality to get to where you need to be. And then, you know, I like when he goes, keep waiting for a handout, you won't last. Still hungry, motherfucker, my stomach touching my back. My grind is my weapon. I'm gonna kill him with that. And that's just an interesting point, because I started thinking about it a little bit. And you see it a lot on the rock side, this starving artist mentality. I can tell you one thing. Since I've been an artist, I have not starved. I have fucking made sure I'm fed before I create my art. And I've taken care of my person before I created my art. Hell, in like the current situation of my life, I had to take off a few years even just to stop bleeding money with stupid choices, so I could have the infrastructure to, you know, build up shit, to buy some microphones and a sound card and all that crap. So like you can go to the studio and hand dude $30 to $50 an hour, or you can spend $3,000, which when you're doing $30 to $50 an hour, the cheaper move is to build it yourself, because I bled out thousands and thousands of dollars in my life and got nothing out of it. I learned a whole bunch of shit. But the truth was, I didn't want to build it myself, because I wanted other people to pick me up and do the work for me. When I stopped doing that, I built it myself, and my grind became my weapon. I'm fucking killing them with that, because motherfuckers can't stop a dude who got grind on the mind. What can you do? You guys can insult me in the comments. You can not watch my videos. You can do whatever you guys want. I'ma still keep coming. And even if you fucking hate me, somebody else is gonna respect it. And that's what I come to see. You can't please them all. And if you keep grinding, if it's not 2019, fuck it. Maybe it'll be 2020. I make enough money with my life, just at my job, to be patient enough to have this take a decade. But I'm going to win, because it's the mentality you got to be in to get there. I'm sorry, Jeezy has me in hustle mode, you know? You don't understand my struggle is pure pain. You don't understand my hustle is pure game. You don't want it, you got it, it's not negotiable. Ain't no sense in coming to practice, it's uncoachable. Antisocial stress, perhaps. My zero time for the bullshit. Must have took most of my life, whatever's left of it. All I ask is please let me die with some integrity. Take them fake, what you want to call you fake. The rap scared to say you great. And I really like it, man, because the truth is, he's got a point. Not a lot of people's giving Jeezy, I guess, the credit he deserves in these videos that get around. People aren't really bringing up Jeezy in the names as much as maybe he deserves. But in a sense, he's pointing out that grind is something you choose to do. It's not like, I don't know, it's almost like you can't just expect somebody to give you like the magic answer to it. When you commit to that life, you get the result. You do it. I don't know. I love this. To me, this is the most motivational track I heard. You can even hear the enthusiasm in my little breakdown here. CEELO just complements it and gives it that extra little touch to make it feel more like a song than just like Jeezy spitting at you, which I like, but I like having CEELO there more than without not it. I don't mean that disrespectfully. I think Jeezy has some banger hooks on his album, but I think CEELO is magical when it comes to hooks. This is a 5-on-5. This is an amazing fucking song.
CeeLo Green does really complement the song in a very nice way. I like that contrast between Jeezy's kind of deep voice, that like serious tone that he always uses in a way, and then CeeLo's just like higher tone, higher pitch. It was really, really nice. I mean, this is something that was super cool to me in a way, like how the idea of being already rich before he got into music was super cool. Kind of like you need to work and build, like Holden said, you know, once you build your infrastructure, you can start doing other shit. And I like that idea of he's doing rap because he can, not because he kind of has to, in a sense. Maybe now that's different. Maybe that's how he makes a lot of his money. Of course, he has different avenues, but just thinking like the ability to know that you can just do it, not in like a hobby way, but because you can do it now, and not like, oh my God, this is what I have to do. It's something. It was a cool thing to think about. I like CeELO's chorus. You got mansions, homie, and diamonds too. Maybe that's the reason that she's digging you. That type of like the rewards that you get from working really hard, and all the I guess the things that people I guess generically want: richness, friends, people, attraction. You know, so that was cool. I like the line in verse 2. They ain't gonna give you shit, homie, so don't ask. Keep waiting for a handout, you still won't last. The hunger, I'm still hungry, motherfucker. My stomach touching my back. I like how, for me, I took that as his hunger will always have his back, which will consistently support him to keep going forward. So that was how I kind of looked at that. That was cool. I like how he's just kind of reminding everybody, like, you don't understand my struggles. You've never lived my life. You don't know what I've been through. Kind of like, I guess, defending himself towards like judgment or anything that people might be saying. So that was also cool. And I like the ain't no sense in coming to practice. It's uncoachable. That line. I feel like that's for everything he's saying in the song. The rapping, it's like you have to kind of, nobody can really teach you how to rap. You have to kind of find your own spot, your own pocket, your own flow, your own sound. Nobody can really teach you how to sell drugs. You have to kind of figure it out on your own, on what moves you should make as a person. Maybe you have different skills that someone else has, or someone else has different skills that you have, that their game is different. Their method of moving with this is different. So I like how he's just kind of reminding people, like, you have to remember that everybody else is different and everybody else comes from a different thing. So that was also cool. I gave the song a 4.2.
All right. Well, the next track is a single of the video. I think it's the only video I found. It's called One Time. Now that we've established that he's rich and he's established and the world's a little bit different, he's now almost demanding the respect. You know, throw it up one time. And this is a banger hook. I'm not even gonna lie. You put your hands in the hair one time. You put the bands in the air one time. You know your boy was riding dirty, dodging one time. So sit back and let me tell you about that one time. And it just repeats and it just flows so well.
I want to comment on that. I feel like there's certain ways he's saying it. So you people put your hands in the air one time, like literally just one time. Like you're not always vibing. You're not always there. You're not always following. You people put the bands in the air one time, as if kind of like you can only do it once. You don't have this type of money that I have, that I can keep throwing bands up and not have to worry about it. Just know your boy was riding dirty, dodging one time. Yes, one time is another slang word for police. So that I feel like that's just kind of fitting the rhyme flow. But like he's also again restating like, yo, y'all maybe have done that one time, but I've always been dodging the one time, you know? Like, so that was cool. And then, so sit back and let me tell you about that one time, like that one incident.
What the verse is supposed to imply.
Right.
Which flows out so well. And then he just drops. You ever seen a narco in the booth? Yeah, I'm talking about 36 O's. White as your tooth. Desert Eagle. Yeah, I look like a flute. Oh, God, so many chickens had to get me a coop. And chickens, I think, is birds, which is kilos. So I'm flowing it back because, I mean, Ice Cube I'm pretty sure, like, well, I mean, I just look at, like,
women.
Yeah, but, like, why?
Project Pack Chicken Heads. Project Pack Chicken Heads.
But he's talking about O's.
And
they're white O's.
And a coupe is also a car.
Yes, but so many kilos I sold, I had to get me a coupe, which is a car, makes more sense than so many women.
I don't know. I feel like he's labeling shit. About 36 O's, okay, ounces. White as your tooth. All right, those are the bricks of coke. Desert Eagle, yeah, look like a flute. Like, he's just naming shit that he got. So I don't even think it really kind of like...
Nah, there's like a cohesiveness. The first line, you ever seen Narcos, he's kind of describing, like, yo, this gun is my instruments. And then
Okay.
I got so many, I got me a coupe. Break it down just like a masseuse. Again, flowing in, following the drug reference of what you're doing with it.
Okay.
Standing in this all-gas stove looking like I'm stirring some soup. So you're right. He is just naming shit in the flow of drugs.
Fair.
And then I thought it was just
14, that Uzi money. Hey.
Anyway, check the tempo. Yeah, I be trolling the flow. How they come with them badges and vests and they gonna go kicking the door. Gotta find a spot to hide the money. Again, it's progressing into what happened after that.
Right.
So he's also just reminding you where he's been from. And I like the way you broke it down. But I think my favorite lyric on the whole album is they call me SNO, that's short for snow. I'm like, what? Well, that's amazing. I didn't know that was a thing, but it's true. SNO is short for snow. I like it. And then watch that floor. I hit that flow. And then that flow he has there is just real nice. It's hilarious to me. Okay, Chris? And I think the rest of this song, he just has this bouncy rhythm to the way he hits it, and I just enjoy the listening to it. Like touchdown, hit the town, hit the block with a block. Them nerds working your nerves while you work in them halves. First I started with science, that's the chemistry of cooking it up. Then I ended with math, which is the breakdown of the fractions of the various products and then the money intake and all that. And that might be the cleverest lyric I think I heard in a minute to encourage children to learn their sciences and maths.
The couple of bars, that mini 14, that Uzi money, when the Nina don't jump back right, that mean I'm losing money. I can whip that yayo fast or slow, wash all the pots in the sink, put up the soda, weigh them bags and go, check the tempo, yeah, I be trolling on the flow. He's actually fucking around on that part, which was really, really cool. Like, I didn't realize it until he went like, yo, check what I'm actually doing. And I listened to the song again and I went, he's actually jumping off and on of the different tempos and the different instruments of the beat, which was really, really cool. I was like, yep, he can do that. I like how he goes, that mini 14, that's Uzi money, a mini Uzi, I guess it's like the 14 is whatever series of the gun or whatever it is. When that Nina don't jump back right, that mean I'm losing money. So I'm kind of just a little bit like concerned, like
You're concerned?
Not concerned. I guess confused because I'm a little confused because if the gun's not jumping back properly, like, does that mean you're not, like, if you don't kill somebody, you're not making the money right? Like, I don't know what that meant.
If shit don't go the way it's supposed to, the plan is fucked up, you're losing money.
Fair.
I mean, I don't really need to go that much deeper than that. I pictured it like if you can't use the gun, you can't make the moves, you're losing money. So back to where I was going on the other track when you were worried about risk, it's not about risk, it's about expediency. It's about being fast with it. It's about like, yo, I need to always be moving, to always opportunize, because it's a race in a sense, and the faster you can get there, the faster you get out. So why would you, whatever. So anything that gets in the way means you're losing money. Any time lost, anything that doesn't do what it's supposed to do, you know?
Fair enough. I mean, the song kind of follows suit and just like the similar, I guess, type of lyrics. I left it with a 4.2. So far, everything's just been very consistent and kind of just keeping me in that same vibe, and I'm just liking it.
It definitely has been a consistent project in terms of it, but it also does feel like the vibe has evolved as we've moved along to explore, like, just different facets of the emotions, I guess, you're supposed to face or whatever. So I'm giving this one a 4.35 because I did find it super enjoyable. And then, yeah, the next track is called Oh Yeah. Honestly, I feel like this is just a less good version of a lot of what we heard, but this is just my feelings on it. I like the hook. Oh yeah, why gun on it? Why is AK got a drum on it? Oh yeah, why still in the game? Still sell cocaine or whatever. So you get the sense it's like, why does he still do these things when he doesn't have to? And you hear for a while when dudes, let's say, get into the rap life, they have a little bit of trouble letting go of the world they were formerly connected to. So in a sense, I think this is kind of like people questioning Jeezy. This is the kind of questions he's gotten in his world, you know?
I felt like it was questioning. I see how it could be questioning Jeezy, so I get that. But I felt like he's also questioning just people who are still in that like trap life mentality, like who kind of just choose to keep doing that for years and years and years instead of investing like he did and getting over it.
But I think it's partly that, but like also you're doing all these things. Why are you still in the hood? You don't have to be. You've done all these things, so why are you still around all of this?
So then I question, because the first line in verse 1, or a line in verse 1, he goes, drop 250 on the vert and I got it all out the dirt. Oh yeah, no, never mind.
Oh yeah, feds hit the spot on the first 12, lost 2 when it hurt. Oh yeah, I caught a cell charge, made bail, then I went and bought me a scale. Oh yeah, is blind, I can't tell, he reading them breaks like braille. And I feel like he is kind of looking back, and he did catch a charge at one point, and these things kind of did happen. And then, oh yeah, chopper get a chopping, but that bread cost that boy an arm and a leg. Oh yeah, I used to get the Remy out the trunks. I was really, really, really in the hood. I like that. In Hebrew, when you say a word 3 times, it's like the ultimate way of dropping emphasis on it. So he's pointing out that, like, unlike a lot of y'all, he was really, really, really in the hood back at that point. He used to get the bricks from Lauderdale. When I'm down there, I'm really, really good, kind of bringing it through. And I like that. I like the flow of that, the way he brings it. And you just get the sense that he actually been there and done that. Rolex before the record deal. Trap hosted 5 mil. Whiteys don't like me and yet trying to be just like me. So he's kind of emphasizing that, this really did happen. He made a whole bunch of money. Like, it's kind of like Rick James when he was talking about all gold everything. And that was his first single. And you're like, how the hell is Rick James?
Trinidad James,
not Rick James, sorry. Trinidad James.
Gold all in my watch.
And that was his first single. So how did he have all the gold if that was his first single?
I mean,
no, that's how he got all the gold, Chris. That's how you get the gold if that's your first single.
Isn't it supposed to imply like he had money before?
You're supposed to drop well, that's the thing. How did you get the money before? You're supposed to, as a rapper, come out with an album or 2, and then everything's gold as you launder. Whereas coming out on track 1, everything gold, it's not even hiding it. It's just being pretty flexy. But I like the way he did this, and overall, I thought this had a good bounce to it. It had a cool thing to it. The beat was a little drier than the last couple, but I still feel like it's cool. I feel like you get the hustle on. I like that he keeps bringing back the 104. I like that he keeps kind of pointing out that he's always on the go. It's almost like this whole album is meant to serve the role as those corporate motivational videos that people will make. And I know a lot of dudes who like money who watch this shit like it's fucking porn. So I kind of like the fact that he's giving his people their version of this type of thing. Anyway, I get this track a 4.2 for what it is. It's pretty good.
I like parts of the second verse just because, like, the way that he kind of flows through it and sounds. Flex dancing like Soul Train, how you want it. 9 or the tech. The money counter faster than a jet. Oh yeah, bitch called twice. She got nerves. Man, 95 south. She got curves. Man started off hustling on the curb. Like, I just like. It's not like he's really saying anything different here. It's just it's really the way he's going through it and the way he's hitting all those like rhymes and just hitting the different syllables was really, really cool. I thought it was a bit better. It's the first song that I gave a 4.3 on because I actually enjoy Ball Greasy's chorus. I like that like he has this type of like raspy mumbly feel to it, so it kind of gave me this more like modern feel of the song, like some of the mumble rapping type trap music there, and it was like cool. Like so far, I felt like Jeezy's been giving us a lot of like older sounding trap music, like just trap that he used to do back in the day, and not like a lot of the newer sounding.
But I think that's
sounds.
That's the point, right?
Right, exactly. I'm not shitting on that. I'm not being negative about it. I'm saying this song has more of a 2019 feel to it. The instrumental, the beat, the whole thing to it.
I'm gonna say this still feels old school to me.
Fair enough. I give it a 4.3.
There's no hugga hugga.
Not flow wise, not like rapping wise, but just sound and just everything. It just felt more. Ooh.
I guess the beat could be a little more modern. I don't know. I still think a lot of it is the flow, because trap beats, while sounding fancier, still kind of, they just added more triplet drums. That's about all that's changed, is more snares. Anyway, instead of moving on to white keys, we've been at this, it's over an hour and a half in raw footage, so it's going to be a good chunk. This should be a good halfway point of the podcast because of the intro beat, and the earlier songs tend to take more. So we're going to say the last 10 tracks that we still got to talk about for part 2, which we're going to record real quick. So on that note, we'll get back to you soon. Let us know what you thought so far of the podcast in the comments. Feel free to talk to us there. We'll definitely get back to you, and I'll answer anybody that talks. Feel free to subscribe to watch part 2 or just more reviews in general. Like the video if you did. Special thanks to the patrons is Milky Dempsey, Chris Prado, Jonathan Barnes, Coney Sparks, DJ Black Hurricane, and Linda Williams. They support what we do, helped us get a new camera. They get to tell us what albums to review every couple of weeks. And yeah, they're going to help us get a new website very soon. I'm just kind of letting that money stack up for a couple months, and I'm going to go buy a year of a website somewhere and figure that shit out. So thank you for that. It's pretty dope. If you want to support this grind, you can do so over there. And yeah, we make music too. You can find that in the links on this channel. And we look forward to seeing you on part 2. So peace.